Yeah, or Kyle Juice check.
It's got consonants all mixed together, touching each other. I might edit that part out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Ups.
Well, wait, it's round two.
Round two.
We're back. I'm Timbo B. Davis.
Connor B. Feckley.
And we are football coaches.
Football coaches.
Occasionally. Hey, so this is the second episode. I'm pretty stoked about this. Last episode was a lot of fun. Super high level of gratitude going out to everybody that joined us last week.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for checking us out and leaving comments, suggestions. Yeah, let us know what you thought, and hopefully we continue a good job.
Yeah. Keep giving us feedback. I think that's what kind of makes it fun, is to hear from you all. But this is a podcast. You didn't join us just to hear us ramble. We're talking openers, opening drive. What do you got for your opening drive?
Opening drive. Well, it's actually a closing drive for my best thing of the week, and it was the call by Andy Reid. And I know we're going to talk about that more, but I know what was it, fourth and one there? And it's funny. I love the post-game interview where Andy Reid was just like, "No, we all knew we were going for it. Like, it was a no-brainer for them." It just obviously speaks of their confidence and how much Andy Reid, I think, plays into the confidence of that football team. Obviously, everyone, Mahomes gets a lot of the limelight for all the things he can do on the field and stuff, and obviously Andy Reid does too. But for him to make those big-time calls like that, and with Chad Henne in, dang cool moment.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. We will touch on that again. Mine, I have two openers.
Two words.
So I got to Alyeska for the first time. Finally, you have kids, you lose a little time. Alyeska is our local resort.
Those of you who don't know, this guy's a big snowboarder.
Yeah,
big snowboarder.
I used to get on used to slide sideways whenever I could, but no, it was like a whiteout kind of blizzard day. We got there, took the wife out. It's her birthday, and about halfway through the day, and you know this moment if you've been to Alyeska, the sun broke open over the mountains, visibility cleared up, and all of a sudden it's a pretty remarkable place.
When that visibility changes, it brightens up everything.
It's like it's like
a
emotions.
Whole new day of snowboarding when that visibility changes. Absolutely,
it's unreal. That's my kind of like best thing outside of football. My best thing as a Jets fan, Robert Saleh. I mean, like,
I think he got hired as soon as we were done recording last week.
Yeah.
It was almost like we were talking about it, and then we got done, checked our phones, and Robert Saleh was the head coach of the Jets.
And I think Urban Meyer actually got hired like as we hit record.
Yeah, so it was just bad timing.
Yeah, in case you didn't hear.
Yeah.
No, but I think, as somebody who's kind of a leadership, I really love leadership. I probably love, honestly, the leadership and the teaching moments more than the game of football itself. Football's awesome. Don't get me wrong. We're making a podcast about football, but I think it's the leadership and the personalities. And when I just think of leader who's got emotion and passion and cares for his guys, I don't know. It's a slam dunk as a Jets fan right now.
I don't blame you, man. Everything that I've read about him here recently, and hopefully it works out, because I think he's the right guy for the job. And I think young LaFleur coming over there and helping out with the offensive side of things is going to be huge too. So hopefully they can get all the right pieces and get things going in the right direction there.
Well, and I'm telling you, I've been watching this. I thought we were going to be actually good this year. Shame on me. I came into. I thought we were going to be 500-ish, maybe a little better. I thought Sam Darnold was going to actually have a breakout year.
Well, then, I mean, obviously COVID. CJ Mosley got hurt right away, right?
Yeah. And so we were. I don't know. It was a whole mess. But it was a great example.
You had Flacco and Gore leading. You
really
thought you were gonna go 500?
This was a great fantasy football team in 2006.
Exactly.
So anyway, that was something else. Anyway, that's my top thing of the week that I saw. Word of the day.
So.
Versatility. I think we'll have to dub in like a computer. Going versatility or something right there.
A little bit better than my whisper. Yeah. Good.
Well, we'll play it all. So versatility is the name of the episode of the day. We're just talking versatility is a versatile word. It works in a lot of ways. That's interesting. But no, we're gonna be talking about all levels of how being a versatile coach, football player, human being,
across the board,
how that is an important word. And really dive into kind of defining that in the sense of football. Well, let's first talk about the NFL. and everything that's going on coming up this weekend. We each one of us took a player and a coaching staff here, and we looked at the versatile nature of what they do and how they're versatile. And originally I was thinking about doing an episode on tight ends. We still might do something like that.
We definitely probably will, especially after what we watched this week.
But I'll tell you what, I think Travis Kelce is my favorite player right now in the NFL.
Yes. Young guys who are tight ends or even receivers, the guy can do it all, from blocking to catching to running routes. That guy he deserves what he's getting paid and everything, man. He does it all for the Chiefs.
And what was cool is that when I think of competitor, I think of like
versatile.
I think of like one of my favorite Baker moments. I asked you what your favorite Baker moment was. Yeah. I think one of mine was like after they scored a touchdown, he comes running in and does like a baseball slide.
Like the
and
coolest
gets in the
slide
shot.
ever.
So,
yes, yeah,
is that
totally.
fun / all gas no brakes? Lack of a better term. Kelce runs his routes that way. He blocks that way.
Yes.
He scored his touchdown this way. That's what I was just going to
say. Everyone sees like Kittle and Kelce and like their personalities off the field, and like you said, how they're all gas, no brake. They are very much that way when they play, and then not just when they have the ball in their hands. It's a lot more than in the run game, which it's freaking awesome.
So and I wanted to touch on that. So I think if he does a few good things receiver wise, really quick. Because we kind of see it. That's the flash.
Yeah.
But he's really good in and out of his cuts. In fact, that touchdown, he runs a whip route, and I think it was Denzel Ward, a cornerback who's covering him, who slips and falls. Kelce's wide open, runs, jumps. It's excitement. That's what you like to see in football. That's a big man doing that. That's a big man with moves. So you see that. He's also really, really good for Mahomes, and now maybe Henny. We'll see what happens. Catching passes, being a huge, big body receiver down low, which when you have a body and target that big, you're almost like always open.
Oh, man. It's the quarterback's best friend.
So I love that. But the play of the game to me, the speed option touchdown. And people are going to talk about Mahomes and his ability to move. But if you watch that play, Kelce blocks 3 people in that play. He starts with Myles Garrett, gets a piece. He rises to a backer, and then I think he gets Denzel Ward again. I think it's a DB. He blocks 3 people.
Yeah,
and I'm like... And I know it's just he's a master of his craft and he enjoys it.
He enjoys it. That's the thing. Yeah, he said he does that. He blocks 3 guys and he looks like he just scored the touchdown. That's the coolest part for sure.
There was a jet sweep shortly thereafter. I think big play, and he's out in front leading that thing, and he's running down the field. It's like if you can see somebody with more enthusiasm than a ball carrier, that's what I saw.
Yep.
It was just it's awesome to see people with such great enthusiasm and energy. So if you get a chance, I know we've talked about it before, go get NFL Game Pass and go watch the coach's film.
Yeah, check it out.
Just watch Kelce the whole game, especially if you're a young football player. It doesn't matter what you are, an O-lineman, a receiver, running back. Just go watch it. What do you got for your player?
I'm kind of mixing it up. Not just for obviously his on the field things, but I was kind of the versatility of Deshaun Watson and the situation he's in now. Obviously, a lot of talk about if he's going to be playing in Houston, if he's going to be a future Texan, and obviously the big thing going on in Houston with James Harden, him being able to take, be able to get himself to get traded where he wanted to go. Obviously, the NFL doesn't necessarily have that luxury, but I think it just speaks a lot about Deshaun Watson. And like I said, I know they had a protest in Houston to have people who were marching around trying to tell him to stay, and it just kind of talks about the type of person that he is and how much he means, to that organization. But he's in a pretty difficult spot, and he's obviously. I think a lot of the reports that have come out have just been necessarily more people that are close to him. I think he's yet to kind of say anything about where he stands with the whole entire trade situation, but I think it just speaks about his how much he means to that football team and his versatility in the sense of they might have to change up everything they're going to do in that organization based around that one player, and
how about the
as
city?
They should, and the city. Like I said, you have people marching around, and he had to take to Twitter to ask him to not go outside, and so I don't know how necessarily if you're a fan how to take that, but I think it speaks volumes about the type of person that he is, because everyone spoke so highly of him for his off the field stuff, and then obviously what he can do on the field. Someone help him, Deshaun. Someone's gonna help you, man. I hope.
Oh man, he's. I love the. I don't know if you saw it on social media. There was somebody that basically photoshopped him into every NFL jersey. Super versatile as a human being. I think that's really cool. My scheme one, I went and watched Green Bay play, and part of this was because of the LaFleur connection with his little brother, or his older brother?
Younger brother.
Yep. Getting the job in New York there. And so I was really, and I've been watching McVay's stuff for a while, and some really cool things I saw. I think what McVay does, and we talked a little bit about this last week, was he uses versatility in how he uses receivers. I heard Bucky Brooks call it the shell game of receivers.
Yeah.
You never know, like, I'm moving this guy here to do this job. I'm moving this guy. And so you have the same basic, it's really, like a 11 personnel type look, but you're moving that tight end around. Sometimes that tight end's a Z or an X receiver and out there wide. But what I really, really liked about what I saw with Green Bay specifically was he's found a way to really use Aaron Rodgers' talents at the highest possible level. And we're seeing that. A guy who's not a young pup, but putting up some of the greatest numbers we've ever seen, especially when it comes to is the touchdown to interception ratio, it's got to be a record, right?
I don't know how it's not. I mean, it's unbelievable. 12 is unreal.
So I think how they use 12 and the motioning that you saw. So what McVay would do is he'll live in that 11 personnel, but it's like, a double tight look, and it basically is like bunch type ace, for lack of a better term. And then he would spread them out, and all of a sudden it's empty. Same personnel on the field. That's cool. Well, what I was noticing with LaFleur is it's a lot more like split backs, and then they motion a guy out of the backfield and see if they could displace the linebackers of the Rams. There were times where, and don't get me wrong, the Packers running game, they have 3 running backs who are all really good, and I think they get them all back.
I know that O-line. I mean, that O-line deserves some respect. Those boys have been dominating all year.
And it was so anyway. So what I saw was that motion that made just gave the Packers that little bit more versatility. They used it in an RPO game to open up the backside quick slant. They used it to open up the inside run game, the inside zone, which is something I think LaFleur uses more than McVay. McVay is using more outside wide zone. And then they used it in the RPO game. In the play action game. And so you saw all phases of the play calling, just from the simple like split back, 20 personnel. You've seen it a million times. But then motion that one guy became a trip surface, and they were able to do a lot of things out of that look.
And like you said, it's interesting, and I know we were kind of talking about it. How much of it is the wizardry and the scheme, and how much of it is just 12 never being wrong, putting the ball always where it needs to be. And like I said, it's a good thing, I mean, McVay obviously has been able to be successful doing kind of similar stuff over there with Goff, but it just, you're able to do a lot more when you have Aaron Rodgers throwing the football.
Well, and that's kind of the big thing is like, how much is LaFleur? How much is the scheme? I think yes. I think yes. I think what LaFleur and the Shanahan tree, that type of those guys, they're using play action. They're adding gaps with 3 receivers that are lined up as tight ends.
Yeah.
LaFleur will use tight ends more to do tight end things. Mm-hmm. McVay is using receivers to do it a little bit more. But what you see is that the scheme couples up with good quarterbacks. And I think a good quarterback can become record-setting. A medium quarterback can become a good quarterback.
Yep.
Because of the way that they're and I've never been in their coaching room, but I got to imagine that the teaching progression is something that's very important. And I think the teaching probably is more important than any type of Madden X and O's going on out there.
As you say that, it makes me really excited to see how Jordan Love, correct? That's the rookie they drafted from Utah State. How he's able to come out and perform when it's finally his time. And obviously, getting a chance to sit behind Rodgers, he's probably going to have a couple years to learn it, and then to sit behind that guy. If he can keep the ball rolling, man, right as soon as Rodgers is done, it could be a lot of good things happening in Green Bay for a while. So
here's a trivia question for you: how many quarterbacks have the Packers had since I've been in second grade?
The same amount that have been there since I've been alive. 2.
Right. That's insane. Since that's unbelievable. So you have this longevity of
2 dudes.
2 dudes. Two of the
great
greatest
dudes, yeah.
Yeah. And they're very different, but they got a lot of the same characteristics. And so anyway, I don't want to go back into the past too far, but I just think that the Jordan Love, it's almost like, dude, big shoes to fill.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's what we kind of were talking about this, and I mean, after, LaFleur and them going 13-3 last year and seeing what they had, and then obviously everyone's thinking, hey, media's talking, we got to get Rodgers some help. I think LaFleur was sitting there in the office going, no, we don't. No, we do not. 12 is just fine. Now, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was probably thinking, yeah, give me some help. I want to win now, and rightfully so. But for the Packers to then go and draft a quarterback and then to draft a big bruising running back, I know I got plenty of friends that are Packer fans that weren't happy about it.
Yeah.
I don't think they care right now. I think they're doing all right, and I think LaFleur knew all along what his team was capable of, what his scheme and what 12 was going to bring, and I think it lit a little fire underneath Aaron's ass, and he was ready to go out and prove people wrong, and that's exactly what he did this year.
I think they're all going to be healthy. There's been some keeping Dylan out of practice here. There's like quad or something this last week. But I think come game time, they're going to be ready to rock and roll. What is your versatility in the league?
Versatility in the league. Well, I spent a little time watching the Bucs and the Saints, and obviously, man, after this, the way the Saints were able to shut down the Bucs offensively the first 2 times they played in the year. Obviously, one was week 1, and then later on in the year, I believe they had Antonio Brown for that second game. Maybe not. It didn't matter. They didn't score a touchdown anyway. I mean, the Saints kicked their butt. But I thought it was cool obviously the Bucs have been on a roll offensively with their deep threats. I mean, the passing wise, they've been on a roll. But for them to come out and to not really throw the ball around that much. I mean, they kept it between right down the hash. Ran the football really, really well. Obviously, picking up Leonard Fournette's paying off for them. Rojo back healthy, over 100 yards. It was just a big day. And obviously, like I said, Mike Evans had 1 catch, Antonio Brown 1 catch, Chris Godwin 4 catches. So I mean, they were able to get Leonard Fournette, Cameron Brate. I mean, I don't even know if Gronk maybe had 1 catch or none. And like Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. So just using all every weapon they possibly could use to just get the job done. And after getting embarrassed by the Saints, twice earlier in the year, and the big Brady Breeze matchup, they were the Bucs were ready to go in there and do whatever it needed to get done to get a win, and they're able to go do that. So I think getting a chance to kind of break down their offense and see the different ways they did that was cool. Obviously, just because they've been on a run lately, lighting it up in the air. So for them to be able to show that, but the Packers are kind of make for a good game this weekend.
Yeah, I really should. I mean, did they? I mean, in the first drive, they took a shot to Gronk. It's so amazing, and it was a well defended play.
Yeah.
He's the original versatility guy.
Totally, absolutely.
And he's another guy that plays all gas, no brakes.
Oh yeah,
having fun with it. As social media has shown us,
he has been that way for a while.
He's been that way for a minute. So let's get to the get back up. The sound. What was the sound last week?
Hopefully the same as this week, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So last week we had Jared Goff and we had Waddle out of Alabama playing with a broken ankle or hurt ankle.
Looked pretty broken.
Pretty broken. And still did it though. Still got out there, caught a couple passes.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. Sweet. Good job, Jalen. Anyway, get back up. And yours today is
the man, Drew Brees. My get back up. 2 words.
Noise.
It's Drew Brees. Obviously, it has everything to do with his performance and the way he carried himself away from the on-the-field stuff that happened this past weekend. Obviously, a huge bummer for one of the all-time greats to go out the way he did. It was hard to watch that. Obviously, I've been a huge Drew Brees fan my entire life. But I just the get back up moment for him is just the way he was able to carry himself throughout that entire game. I know they have this, them down late. They have the shots of him turning to Deshaun Watson. They have him turning to Jameis. And they wish Deshaun turning to Jameis and basically being like, "This is your team now," and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, obviously having the rib injury and everything going off, like he didn't look healthy.
Did his wife say that he had a torn rotator cuff? Was she the one that said that?
I think so.
I mean, so like yesterday it popped up.
I mean, yeah, and so it's just. The guy knew he was coming to the end of his stretch there, and he just refused to go out, without fighting. And so I think that was the coolest thing is for him to, obviously he knew he had the entire city on his back. I thought one of the coolest things this week was seeing like Tyrann Mathieu tweeted out at him, basically talking about what he meant for the entire city of New Orleans, not just the football organization, but the city and the community as a whole. And I think, obviously Drew Brees is probably going to go on and be a broadcaster, hopefully do a little bit better than Jason Witten. It should be pretty easy. But no, just loved being a huge fan of Drew Brees for my entire life, and for him to just kind of see him obviously not go out on top on the field, but just continuing to show everybody what type of leader and individual he is, and for him to see him, carry his head, hold his head high as he kind of head out there on that last game.
You ever broken a rib?
I have not.
Oh, it's bad.
And I have not tried to play in an NFL game either shortly after doing so. So, credit to him. Obviously, I think if Taysom Hill might have been healthy, he got the scratch, and I don't know if the Saints wanted to go out with a hurt Breeze or a healthy Jameis against his old team. So I don't know, but future's still, they still got Sean Payton. Saints will be fine. But my get back up, 2 words.
Love
Player
it.
with Drew Brees.
2 words. 2 words. Mine is the backup. 1 word. Is backup like your backup quarterback? Is that 1 word? I think it is. We should know that.
Well,
we should know that for multiple reasons.
We just were 2 words. It's
we're 2 words. Anyway, so the get back up
backup
is the backup. We got Chad Henne. Was it 13 years in the league?
13 years.
And he comes in the biggest moment in his career.
First playoff game.
And it's 4th and 1, right?
Well, yeah.
Wasn't that the first play?
Well, no, he had the big run on 3rd and 13.
No, earlier in the game.
Oh, earlier in the game,
right,
yes.
The first play is 4th and 1. They motion around, kind of looking like they're going to draw him off sides. I think he does the reverse pivot toss to get the first down. Holy cow. So
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think the big thing about this has got to be the hardest. I think it's one of the hardest mental positions in sports because you don't know when you're going to come in. They talk about in baseball like relievers, they got to come in, but those guys are in a bullpen. They're doing their thing. All of a sudden, your star quarterback, and there's not many bigger star quarterbacks than Pat Mahomes right now. He's like the guy. Yeah, right. And so everybody's like, oh, it's like this. And
I just want to say, as you pointed out, like you said, the backups has always got to be ready. They never really know when they're going to go in. I just want to point out in the NFL, if Patrick Mahomes, he came out, they do get a nice media timeout. So Chad Henne gets plenty of time to warm up his arm. Maybe at these summer Division II, Division III levels where you don't get media timeouts. If a quarterback gets hurt, that guy's got to go right in, and you better hope it's a handoff or something because that guy's not going to be warm. So
that is a great point.
I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's a great point.
There,
but no, I think the thing about this is and this comes to versatility. You never know when your time is when it's your moment.
You got to be ready.
So, to draw it to a life conclusion, you can obviously see the life lessons that you can learn in that, whether it's, you're a student, or whether you're a high school kid.
Well, and like you said,
or whatever it is.
Mahomes is like the pinnacle of everything, and he comes off the field, and they didn't change how they went about anything. Their 4th and 1 call was still their 4th and 1 call, and it was up to Chad Henne to make the right decision.
Which maybe this should be a get back up moment for Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Probably more so,
that's
but
a good point.
Because you have prepreparation. But hats off to Chad Henne.
He still got to come in and execute, and he did, man. He totally took advantage of his opportunity and
passion.
Yeah,
he thought he got the first. Tony Romo
and just getting you all excited.
He almost got him to the AFC Championship. He almost.
Chad was, he said you see Chad get up and you're kind of worried for a second because he dove on his head, so it was kind of like, I hope he's good. But he got up and he was, he thought he had the first and he was psyched and I was happy they were able to get it ultimately just because of for Chad's sake. But
I'm gonna have to give Tony Romo ancillary get back up because he's like, there's no way they're running this play. Yeah. There's the motion. There's no way. And then Jim Nantz is like, they are running the play.
Tony didn't know what. He was like, that's why I said, man, Andy Reid. That's why and part of it might have been because Tony was probably hyping me up so much in that moment, thinking, there's no way a ball's gonna get snapped here. And then Andy Reid's like, watch this.
Drama. Great
awesome.
Drama. Good job, Tony. But I also have another one. Well, I don't know if this is allowed. We can do 3. We're doing 3. I got Myles Garrett.
It's our show. Okay.
Yeah. I got Myles Garrett. 13 months ago, this guy is people he's a criminal and he swung the helmet. And this guy is the lowest of the low in the NFL.
Should he be allowed in the league
ever again?
Yeah.
And think about this. We've all had the swing of the helmet moment in some way, shape, or form.
Way or form.
No, hopefully not literally. But think about your lowest moment in your life. Can you imagine your lowest moment? And I don't want to say this is his lowest moment, but it was professionally.
Well, at least in the sense for everybody in the world to see.
And they saw it.
Yeah.
They saw it's on television, and it's just for and obviously I don't want to get into the incident too much, but here's the deal: the guy was he was kicked out of the league for 6 weeks or whatever, indefinitely suspended.
And
and now he's the Cleveland Browns representative for the Man of the Year nomination, which is I think is so cool. And he went over to Africa, East Africa, and helped drill wells, find clean drinking water. That's like the big thing. But then, from all indications, the dude is just such a servant of the community. He like helped some people whose house burnt down. He went and helped them out. He has bought food. He's worked with the homeless and in the Cleveland area. And he never shied away from doing that work. Despite, it would have been real easy to be like, man, I'm an embarrassment. Let me get out of it. Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't need to do that. Let it blow over.
Yeah.
But he did. He went out and now he's being recognized for it. As he should. And like I said, I think it says a lot for him to do all those things and to do it with a smile on his face. And I didn't necessarily know that he was going out and doing all these things.
Yeah.
Until they showed it at the end of the year. They're like, hey, basically ever since Garrett smacked Rudolph over the head, he's been out doing great things for the world to show everybody that he's not this horrible person. And obviously leading up before he did that, he obviously was always a good person too. So he's done everything, I think, what he needs to do to get his name back in the right day.
Here's the quote: "My life is much bigger than one moment." And I'm thinking like versatility. That's versatility, because it's real easy to be when everything's going well, it's real easy to be living well.
Yeah.
When everything's poor, and you have the bad moment or whatever it is, it takes a versatile person to say my life is not defined by this one moment. And it's really cool. Yeah, no, that's definitely my get back up number 2. Moving on to the college game. Kind of playing it a little differently today. Today, instead of going over necessarily a versatile coach or a player, we're the top 3 dudes. The dudes everybody's talking about in the draft. All versatile quarterbacks.
All versatile in different ways.
In very different ways. And so, who are you drafting?
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing for me, obviously all these guys are athletes. They can all, they can tear apart a defense with their arms. They can do it with their legs. They're versatile in that sense. The biggest thing for me that separates Lawrence is just experience. And not only in playing experience. I mean, he's played like 30 games or something ridiculous.
Played a few games.
And so obviously the kid's played a lot of high level football. Obviously got the reps. That's going to be there. But I think the biggest thing is how he's played in the big moments. Yeah. There's not going to be a stage on the NFL necessarily aside from maybe the Super Bowl or a playoff game, but not a regular season game that's going to be like a bigger moment, for him than any stadium he's ever been in. He's played in the national championship game for the last 2 years and then another playoff game. And so the kid's been able to go in and prove that he can handle those big moments. That was kind of my big question mark for Justin Fields, obviously coming off last year and obviously super talented. Weren't able to close the deal out against Clemson the year before. I don't know if that whole entire misread interception at the end of the game was necessarily all on him. But obviously, and because I'm not trying to dock Fields in any way. Lawrence just has that edge on him, in my opinion, and I think that goes a long way, certainly when you're taking that next step into the NFL. And then Zach Wilson, didn't see a whole lot about him prior to this year, and maybe that's my bad, but he was able to step up and play well. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch on tape. Those of you who didn't get a chance to watch Zach Wilson play a little bit, go on YouTube or whatever you can and watch him, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence goes 1 and he goes 2 and Fields goes 3 to somewhere, because the kid's good.
You want a hot take?
Hot take.
If I'm not an NFL executive and I don't necessarily have the pressure of doing maybe what the fan, because sometimes that you got to keep people in your organization happy. Yeah. Hot take, I might pick Wilson first.
If you're at Jacksonville with your brand new Urban Meyer,
I am tempted. What I liked about this guy, I think Trevor Lawrence is the polished, probably can play year 1 guy of the 3.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy who go into an NFL huddle. He could be very successful. It's nothing against Lawrence or Fields. What I saw from Wilson studying tape this week was, first of all, an incredibly quick release.
Yeah.
In fact, he looked almost too relaxed. And then he would snap his core, engage it, and just snap the ball out. And there were some rockets.
Yeah.
Lawrence, 6'6", it's like a whip. And don't get me wrong, I think it's...
Totally.
I have no knock on Trevor Lawrence's game. I love how Wilson plays. I love just something about it.
He has like a whole shot on a cover 2 throw, like all the way across the field from like the far hash that he makes, and it makes it look so easy and it's so pretty. So I mean, just going off what you're saying, yeah. I mean, he throws a good football.
Whole shot after whole shot. This guy throws that cover 2 window really well. Now, I know he's not playing against the same type of caliber of defense as Trevor Lawrence is playing.
Totally.
I totally recognize that.
Yep.
But what I see in this guy, mixed with NFL talent around him, he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. He reminds me of Russell Wilson a lot of ways.
Yeah, very much.
He's 6'3", so he's not super short. I thought he was shorter than that.
I did too, honestly.
But yeah, no, he's still decent size. But I really like his competitive. There's something about him that just like watching his play, it kind of goes back to that whole thing that being versatile doesn't just mean that you can run the fastest or throw the hardest. It also means like you just got this electricity about you. And I saw that in him. Not that I didn't in the other two, but I just saw it at a super high level in this
Yeah,
kid.
he brought a different energy to BYU in that football program this year. And like I said, people wanted to watch him on television. You wanted to get a chance to watch Zach Wilson and what that BYU offense was going to do. And certainly that speaks volumes and speaks to the versatility he is as a human and as a football player. So definitely, yeah.
Coastal Carolina.
Hey, by the way, then, so if
got all after it. Did
So,
you watch the Coastal Carolina game?
I did, yeah, it was a damn good game. That was so cool they did that. I wish there would have been more games like that in college this year. Just like the whole entire. Hey, it's Thursday. We're playing these guys on Saturday. And so I want to ask you then.
Go for it.
Jets sitting at 2.
Yeah, it's still Sewell. You still.
I'm thinking if you had a chance to take one of these 3, would you take one of them over Darnold or no? Darnold's not there. Who are you taking?
Of these 3? Oh man, I mean, again, I'm not the NFL executive. Hot take. I'm taking Wilson. I see what Baker.
He's hoping Urban and everybody else has a level head and they're going to take Lawrence so you can get Wilson.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah, I think what I would take if we were drafting quarterback with the Jets. What I see what Baker has done with Cleveland, I don't think is too far apart from what you would see Wilson do with the Jets, with the LaFleur offense that's coming in and. So if they picked up Wilson,
back to what we were talking about.
If they picked up Wilson, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's a great fit. I think Sam Darnold's really good though.
Yeah, I think
Darnold with the O-line's just fine.
You get your tackle.
People. And, word. Cool.
We're good on that. Sorry, no more Jets.
No more Jets, I swear. All right, so we're talking about versatility and teaching and coaching for all the high school youth coaches, guys doing the stuff that we do. What are your thoughts on versatility in the coaching teaching area?
The coaching teaching, well, I think high school. I think versatility for me, football, and maybe some guys are listening. I think Amu Agostino, and he's a good friend of mine. Played with him when we were younger. Anyone who knows Alaska football within the last few years here is going to know Amu and know the type of player that he was, and his versatility, and just how much of a pain he was to go against for what he was. I mean, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I mean, his senior year, he was 81 for 143, or almost 1,200 yards passing with 16 touchdowns. He had almost 1,000 yards on the ground with 15 touchdowns, and he also had almost 200 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns, with a couple extras for kickoff return and punt return, and he was also one of the leading tacklers on defense. Yeah. So when it comes to like the high school youth level and versatility, you got to let athletes go out there and be athletes, obviously within reason. But when you have a guy dominant like him in the versatility, let him go crazy, man. Let those guys help you win you some games.
We had a kiddo, tight end, Jared Hartjehausen, 2017.
Yeah.
And he was we have a position at West called the flyback. It's the tight end, it's the wing back. We mix it all together. But Hartjehausen opened my eyes to what a versatile athlete can be at the high school level. And it wasn't just versatile because he was an athlete. He was an athletic kid. He was versatile because he was incredibly sharp. And that allowed us to actually play with a different level of tempo and still run some of our gap scheme stuff. I mean, gap scheme you can run at tempo because you're down kick usually on a lot of it.
Go learn football. He knew football. Yeah. He understood football from every aspect, and that was
well, and allowed us to do things like we call power right or HT counter or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We'd pull the guard, and he would either wrap or kick. But what we would do is we just put, Hartjehausen would have an assignment. Hey, go block the front side mic. And so we would just call power right. I didn't care where Harge lined up. as long as he gets the front side mic. So sometimes he would be in the wing. Sometimes he would be as that sniffer back. Sometimes he would be in split back. He did a little bit of everything. He would be out. Sometimes he'd be at receiver if their linebacker wasn't super aggressive, and he'd crack down on the mic.
And it's funny you say that because I remember when he was playing for you and I was away, and I remember watching some film and talking about it, and I kept thinking, like, what formation are you in? Like, what is this kid doing? And you told, like, he just goes, he does his assignment, man. He lines up, he knows where he needs to be, and he gets there. And that is awesome. I mean, it must be nice for you to be able to have that luxury. Yeah.
Well, right. And you don't do that with every kid. You don't do that with every athlete.
Yeah.
But if you know the game and you know the assignment, and our last tight ends coach, Roger David, was amazing at flybacks coach. Sorry. Was amazing at coaching the guys up and making sure they knew the assignments of where to be. And I think it's just one of those very interesting positions. It takes twice as much time to put in. You got to be an O lineman. You got to be a running back. You got to be a receiver. You got to know how to do all those things, and it just takes more time. So those guys put a lot of time in.
And like you were saying, the coaches that have to coach those guys, I mean, kudos to you, man, because you said you got to teach them all of it. You got to be able to teach them all the O-line stuff, all the receiving and everything. So
did you work tight ends at Dubuque?
Dubuque, yeah, my second year.
Yeah.
First year quarterback, second year tight end. So shout out all the tight ends over there.
There you go. So anyway, that's who I think of as a kid. Segueing into like scheme, because I think it does. I think being a versatile coach in high school scheme is all about finding a way to create a good football experience for your kids. And so, I don't know, it sounds a little cliche, but here's, to me, that flyback position opened up different type of athletes that we've had. You didn't have to be a phenomenal athlete. You could use your mind, and you could be versatile that way. So guys would have more.
So you're not just getting a kid in on for kickoff to get his 8 plays in or something.
And I think that's something regardless of what you run. I believe in a scheme that's versatile to the kids. In fact, I actually think in a weird way the NFL and high school are very similar, because the coaches who they get. Yeah. Like, here's the kids in the school. Here's the kids the GM gives me.
I mean, you get a little control, but you said the GM gets you your guys. Yeah.
And the in college, you go out and search for this.
You get to go handpick who you want.
Yeah, this type of athlete. And so, as a high school coach especially, but I think that you see this in good NFL coaches, LaFleur, just the difference in what you see with LaFleur and McVay.
Yeah. Totally.
And what like Cleveland does, and like just the differences in those, to see the diversity and the versatility that they bring to a similar system.
Yeah.
Because they designed it around their kids. Yep. And so I think a high school program has to be designed around the kids. It's got to be adaptable to them. And so even if you run a system, like if we were a wing T or whatever out west, I would still fight to find it's a great offense. It's great. It's not for me, but like it's phenomenal. It's just
when you say it with West, that's what made me go. That's all.
If I ever was at a school that ran the wing T,
there you go.
Yeah, I think finding the way to make kids versatile, putting them in spots, and actually wing T coaches would sit here and say, well, that's what we do with the O line. We can have small little guards.
Great Alaskan coaches here that have done that. I mean, so absolutely.
So shout out to the Bartlett homies. What they've done with that system is pretty remarkable. And but whatever you do, you got to make sure that you're, I think, giving kids opportunities to go showcase their abilities, to have fun. Man, you got 4 years of high school football at the most.
College goes by just as fast, if not faster.
Right.
With a little bit limited more opportunity, I guess, to get on the field. But
young coaches, I did want to mention this about young coaches. Like, sometimes young coaches come in or I get emails, hey, I can be your receivers coach, quarterback guru. And I'm like, that's
I did that.
He did that.
I didn't do that.
And that's good. You want to have like, hey, this is what I'm good at.
Yeah, but totally.
I'll tell you what, if you're out there and you just got out of college, you want to coach high school or whatever, show up with like bring all. So like in baseball, they talk about bringing all your gloves to the yard. You might bring the first baseman glove, the catcher glove, the outfield glove, the infield. That's the type of mentality you got to have as a coach. Know the O-line. I think every coach, O-line fundamentals and technique is the most important thing any coach can do that coaches any position.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a huge for me. Getting a chance, obviously, grew up a little chub ball playing offensive line a lot of my life, but I just was a killer at chop blocking. That was just one of my. Then I started playing bigger guys. They started needing me in the head and stopped working, and I moved to quarterback because I didn't do it. But I feel like I didn't learn as much. I've forgotten so much about offensive line play from going to quarterback. And then in college, we didn't necessarily work with the O-line fronts were all called out by the center. So it wasn't a priority of mine to work on as much. So obviously, when I was done playing and able to kind of step back and really dive back into run game and offensive line and scheme and technique, man, it helps your football knowledge grow immensely. So
you know,
young guys,
and that wasn't necessarily. I kind of stole that. I got Numi Elalio, the former service coach who coached Amu, which you're talking about. He would always say, "Hey, if you're going to coach offense, you got to know O-line. You got to be an O-line coach first." And
you're absolutely right. He's definitely one of the guys that have always said that. So.
And I can't agree more. I think that's something that I learned from him that's really good. And I learn O-line play, whether it's going to be wing T scheme, gap scheme, whether it's going to be inside zone, learn it all.
And like if you're a DB's coach, go learn O-line play.
Go learn O-line play. Absolutely.
Young defensive graduate assistants, or go learn O-line play.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit boring at times. You'll get interested into it if you love football, and you'll learn a lot.
I think you just said it right there. If you love football, and I think
you'll find out real quick if you love football. By studying O-line play.
Do you want to be a football player, or do you want to be a quarterback? That's kind of what I tell some kids that sometimes are the backup type kids and coaches. Do you want to be a football player? Or do you want to be a coach? I'm only a receiver. And I get that. I understand what they're saying, but sometimes there's a role for kids on a team if they just want to embrace that football player. I think that goes for coaches too. Hey, I'm this coach. Do you want to be a football coach, or do you want to be a DB's coach, or whatever it happens to be? By the way, this is no way referencing anybody that we know. I'm just saying this in general.
Yeah.
I've interacted with people on social media and stuff like that who are I coach this, and I'm like, why don't you coach kids and coach football and learn that as well?
I was gonna say, I know plenty of coaches that are, they're a wide receivers guy and a tight ends guy, and then in the spring he's helping with the D lineman. He's also the equipment manager and the camera guy, and so there's a lot of coaches that have a lot of name tags and carry a lot of hats.
What's the name of the show?
The Back
Ups.
Our show.
Versatility. I meant the name of the episode. The Back Ups, 2 words. But yes, versatility.
On versatility.
Versatility. Absolutely. Well, let's see how versatile we are. It's 4 Down territory, where we ask each other 4 questions that we did not tell each other we are going to ask ahead of time. These are off the cuff. What you get is what you get. Thinking on your feet.
I'll start.
That's what you got.
Well, since you brought up early on, so I'll talk about snowboarding.
Okay.
What's your best or most favorite memory from a snowboarding trip?
Snowboarding trip?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Snowboarding trip. So, I always like to bring up bad memories.
You are good at that.
This was
the best story yet?
This is actually kind of funny. So, went up to Turning and Pass to go build a jump. And I had my backpack, and we built the jump. We were having a great time. It got dark, and it was one of those nights where, we were young. We were early 20s. Didn't have any headlamps. We were dumb. All right. So, we end up, I don't know how we took a wrong turn. One of our buddies took a wrong turn. We're like, oh no, we're going to have to hike out quite a bit. Anyway, so he takes a wrong turn. We get to the bottom. We get to the road. My backpack's open. And my keys and cell phone are gone. And so we're in Turning and Pass. It's pitch black.
That's not a good place to be.
It's starting to snow. It's starting to snow blow. It's sideways. It's 45 degree at least. Yeah. Uncomfortable. We're freezing cold. We took a wrong turn to start off with. So we had to hitchhike back to Girdwood. My dad had to come get us. So literally my dad picking up these 20-year-old dudes. Dad rolls up in a minivan, Dodge Caravan, and
probably
full
better
effect.
than someone random in the middle of Turning and Pass.
Right.
Area.
Well, we did have to hitchhike back, so I don't remember how that exactly worked out. So we hitchhiked back from Turning to Girdwood. I'm thankful for whoever picked us up. I don't even remember it at this point. It was all a blur. Had to go back the next day with a new set of keys that cost not cheap because we had to make it based on the number. Anyway, it was rough. That was a rough one, but it's like one of those, hey, we overcame. I actually went up. I was substitute teaching at the time, and I got out early. I did a half day, and I took a metal detector, and I walked up Turning and Pass trying to find the keys. Never did come up with them. But there it is. That is the wildest memory. Those guys never rode with me again.
Well, that makes sense. You still friends with those guys?
Yeah, I see. They're probably not gonna watch this, but if they do, I'm sorry again. I should have double checked the zipper. Oh no.
You're right. That was a good bad. That was the best snowboarding story, huh?
I mean, it's like
You're pretty good at snowboarding. I feel like you would have some a little bit. I'm with you.
I mean, I've done.
We're still talking about it. We're laughing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
right.
No, it's funny now. It wasn't funny.
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
It was
definitely one of those stories.
funny. No, but I think snowboarding to me, it's just I don't know. Every day it's such a process based thing. Like every day, it's that every turn. I think that's I honestly think snowboarding and football have a ton in common. That's a whole nother episode. It's long story. Just trust me on it. We'll do an episode on someday.
Right on. Well, second question, a little background story. You got a chance to go down to Cal when Jared Goff was there, and you got to mess around with Tony Franklin and then different people down there at Cal. So kind of going off a little bit of the Rams drama after the loss last week and a little bit of the Goff McVay drama. If you could go back in time to when you were sitting in that QB room with Goff, just back there, if you could have known everything you know now, you could have just maybe mumbled something to that to give him a little bit of advice or something for the future. Obviously, what would that little piece of advice be to him?
What would the piece of advice I give to Jared Goff?
Like I said, you're that kind of that weirdo in the back taking notes, and you're just gonna throw out something. I mean, it could have been life changing.
He did walk in the room, and Tony Franklin, we are Tony Franklin clients, and he's like, "Hey, Jared, these guys are from Alaska," and Jared kind of does like a half turn around and go, "Hey guys." And I was like, oh, man, that was really cool. Jared Goff said, hey, guys.
No care in the world.
So my wife, whenever he's on television, my wife's like, hey, that's your buddy Jared. I'm like, well, not really. I'm not really answering the question. What would I tell him? Well, get the ball out quick, baby. Get the ball out quick. I think when Jared, and this is just an observation of his play, he played in an up-tempo, RPO-style offense at Cal. I think that he does two things really, really well. I think he does really good with the play action that McVay does. And I think he does really, really good with the tempo, get into 10 personnel, and just run quick game and RPO and go fast. They did that in the Super Bowl, and they started just in like little spurts and drives. And he started to move the ball. So when he does that, and he's really quick with his decisions and gets the ball in the hands of any of those guys, Cooper Kupp's huge. I mean, there's some good receivers on that team.
No doubt.
I would say get the ball out quick, man.
I think you should go in and start telling him how you need to get the ball to Kupp and get the ball to all these guys. You'd really freak him out then. He'd probably look back at that weirdo in the meeting room back then at Cal.
Okay, so if we're going back in time, just slide him a sheet of paper that says first round of the Rams, and you're going to be in L.A.
Here's your team.
Because they weren't in L.A. yet.
No, I think they were still in St. Louis. Don't worry, you won't be in St. Louis.
Yeah, you're going to be in L.A. And he's like, oh, what? All right, third down. What do we got?
Who would win in a staring contest? Adam Gase or Robert Saleh?
This is where I think Gase wins. This is where he's just going to stare there at you with the eyes. I mean, his eyes are huge when but here's the deal though. That wasn't his everyday thing. I don't understand that press conference. Now he's kind of got a look, but I didn't recognize him. He looked like a Russian agent at that press conference.
I can still picture his face so perfectly.
But I do that too. Sometimes when I'm talking to the media, I'll make a different face, and then I'll see it on the television and go what was I doing? And I didn't realize it.
He was zoned out for an entire
it was different
duration of it.
It was different. Yeah, no, I think Saleh would be like, come on, man, win the contest, let's go. And he'd be pumping him up. I think Saleh would encourage him. Saleh would encourage him.
You're going to beat me. You're going to do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
Don't lose.
Oh, that's crazy. No, I didn't think about that.
Hopefully that's what happens for him. And then I kind of wanted to go back because we kind of spoke about it, but I don't think we ever touched on it. If you were in Deshaun Watson's shoes right now, what would you be wanting? Would you want to be out of Houston, or are you sticking around and making things work?
So I know J.J. Watt came up to him. There was it was on you could hear it recorded on the NFL film mics, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry we wasted one of your years."
Yeah.
Because it's such a recognition about the quarterback position.
Yeah, it's tough.
The fragility of it.
JJ knows a thing or two about wasted years.
Yeah.
No offense.
Absolutely.
Amazing guy. He deserves to be on a team that's not trash.
Here are two guys that are, when I think of J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson, I'm like, these are principled core guys. Deshaun, you listen to Dabo talk about him.
Well, I said I think so highly of them off the field, as well as they're on the field stuff too. But yeah.
So I think at a certain point you have to take care of the family. You know what I mean? And I'm uncertain alignment. Let's talk about alignment. The alignment of the Houston organization does not seem to be aligned in anybody's favor. I mean, really, it seems to be aligned towards, from what we can tell, like Jack Easterby and that mess.
I don't think Watson wants to let down Houston. Like, I don't think he wants to, but I don't think the Texans are kind of not going to help him, man. They're just dumpster fire over there.
No, and that's my worry. I think the coaching situation's a huge X factor.
Yeah.
As of recording, they have not hired a coach, correct?
As we were,
Well, they probably just did. Going on what happened.
Deshaun Watson's finding out like we are. I don't know.
They probably just did. You're going to hear this and be like, those dummies.
Hopefully not, because that means it's probably not Bieniemy. And it's not.
I think if it's Bieniemy, from all accounts, it would be, that's it. He stays. And I would stay for that.
Yeah.
If I was him. But I will say this. Everybody can see organizational alignment from the outside.
And I mean,
or misalignment.
Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
Tweeting for like the first time that something that wasn't like a Crown Royal Apple ad since
2014.
Yeah. I mean, he took to social media to present that there was a problem. And like you said, and everybody was like, hey man, when he speaks, you listen. And it's like when the face of your franchise kind of, it's saying something's wrong.
That is where an organization, a versatile organization, is able to weather tough times because everybody's pointed in the same direction.
Yeah.
But as soon as one element, especially if it's an important element, tilts a different direction, you have misalignment, and it doesn't matter how good you are.
Yeah.
The talent doesn't matter. The head coach does. You have a serious issue with alignment, and so if Bieniemy comes in and he's able to get things aligned, that's one thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, first down. You ready for this?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, so versatility at the dinner table. Your mother is and father are maybe the best house guest preparing food people I've ever met.
You're gonna eat well when you come over. Yeah, they're gonna take care of you.
Gosh. What is Patricia's best meal or dessert?
Ooh, best. I don't know. There's a lot of people that know that Patricia's cooking is good. I think my favorite.
Your favorite.
My favorite, and which is also is this raspberry dessert. We grow some fresh raspberries out in front of the house there. We have some Cool Whip, pretzel base. She mixes it all up. It just looks beautiful. It tastes beautiful.
It's really good.
It's really good. And the saddest thing is that since she uses the fresh raspberries, he makes that dessert one time a year when all the raspberries are ready. And when I was in college, I wasn't able to get any and stuff. So, but that's definitely Patricia's. She's good at everything, but that's definitely my favorite.
I was really hoping you were going to say something I hadn't had. So next time I see her, I could be like, yo.
There's options, don't worry.
There is. We'll have to do a cooking podcast next.
Get back up with Patricia. It's all about cooking. No football today. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, no. Okay. Versatility and competitiveness. What, other than football, gets you aggressively competitive?
Can it be another sport? Because I'm pretty I don't know. I'm just a competitive.
I guess the answer is yes. I didn't really specify, but I'm kind of curious, like a non-actual, so not soccer. Because I was
thinking soccer.
Yeah, I know you played. What
in high school? What things that get me really going is when I'm playing any sort of video game. I was just playing my buddy, and it was old NBA Street Volume, back in the day, PS2 remotes, and this. And I used to be good at it. I used to kick his butt, invite him over just so I could beat him, and then I went away. He's held on to the PS2 now for several years. He's become an ultimate wizard, and it's just he uses Yao Ming and blocks all my shots and drives me up a wall, and I just want to throw my remote through a freaking wall. So yes, I think it would come down to playing video games and
very specifically NBA Street for PS2.
Yes, and then start getting down in that game. If Yao Ming starts blocking all your shots, man, you start getting pretty frustrated.
I love it.
You guys know what we're talking about. Don't worry.
Oh, that's good. No, that's really good. That was better than I expected, to be totally honest. I like that one.
I'm thinking chess. I'm driving.
So, versatility. You brought up the Hawaii trip last week. In the Hawaii trip, you happened to play cornerback, not quarterback. You played them both.
Yeah.
And you actually were in phase quite a bit.
I was in position, man. That guy just made a hell of a play.
Just over and over and over again.
Over and over again. Yeah. I know they were
But
good.
no. Okay, here we go. Which current NFL QB would you put in the game at cornerback?
Current NFL. That's a good question. I'm trying to like cipher them all through my mind right now. Probably Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's just
Not Chad Henne.
he's not Chad Henne. I just think he could run with anybody. I mean, he's physical. I don't think he'd be afraid to like jam a guy at the line either. I don't know if he'd win them all, but I don't think he'd be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
But I think he's just athletic enough to. I mean, you can even put him in that slot or something great. Like, certainly more so than anybody else, at least off the top of my head. He'd probably have a pretty good back pedal.
Yeah, I bet Lamar would be really good. The physicality.
Physicality,
I
definitely.
think that's good. He'd probably be a really good safety.
He'd
Probably
he'd
has been.
fly down
I'm sure
and kill
he has
someone.
been. Yeah, I'm sure
Look
he
at
has
his high
been.
school film.
Yeah.
And nothing else is coming to my mind.
We'll get our staffers to go find some high school.
We'll put on our staffer tag.
I'm my own
Do it all.
GA.
If anybody else has any other observations, let us know. Say something.
Yeah. We want to hear from you. YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes. We're now alive. I'm stoked on that.
Get on there.
We want to hear from you. Who would be the best NFL QB to
At
play
corner.
At corner. All right, here we go. This one's kind of a tough one. Okay. Hypothetically, you are going into a divisional round playoff game, hypothetically. And hypothetically, your quarterback is a legend. Okay? Hall of Famer, first ballot. The backup is hurt. The backup, who has been an NFL starter, no, this is all hypothetical, is, from what we can tell, healthy. Okay? Do you just let your NFL legend just go do his thing? Or do you bring that backup in and play more than he did in a hypothetical situation?
Oh,
Should Jameis have played more?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yes and no. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, the situation was like, if the hypothetical is if that first ballot Hall of Famer has a broken rib cage and is like on his last game out, then if he's saying let me play, I would let him play because I think that guy is a good enough human to where if he really didn't want to be out there, or he felt that the other backup should be on the field more so than him, that he would be man enough to go, hey, let the guy get his opportunity or something here.
Yeah.
But no, I think let the legend ride it out into the sunset. The backup, he's had his time to shine. He'll have his time to shine again. So
Legend
ride out.
So I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna put you on the spot. So there's more to coaching decisions, in your opinion, than the wins and losses. Maybe there's something more to in that personnel move. There's something more to it.
Oh, I mean, hey, if you're, and I'm gonna like bounce it back now.
Yeah.
If the Saints had a chance to win that game,
Yeah.
and Drew was not getting it done,
Yeah.
and and you're sitting there, or it comes down like a final drive situation, that you're gonna have a deep throw.
Oh.
You're not sure if Drew is gonna be able to do it. Like, but at the same time, you're Sean Payton, and you just had the last 3 years you've had in the playoffs. You got to do what you got to do to get that win.
Yeah.
I think in that point, like, is it going to be a little rough? Maybe if you got to pull the legend off for the final drive or something, like, yeah. But if you don't win, everyone's going to be like, well, why was, I guess it would go the same way too. If the backup goes in and then blows it, like, what the hell was the backup doing in? So, but to think, I think it definitely went through my mind though, to answer your question. Like, yes. But I think if you're at that level of football and you have that much on the line,
You gotta win. You gotta play
win.
to win. And I was a little surprised there wasn't more Jameis.
Totally. I mean, he goes in and throws like his one touchdown pass, and it was kind of like Sean Payton was like, all right, he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that for him, that's all he wanted.
We're not in the locker room. We're not in the coach's room.
Yeah, maybe Jameis was, and he obviously looked ecstatic. The sideline looked ecstatic for him. So I mean, it was super cool to see that. And I mean, and having Drew turn to him and kind of go, hey man, this is your team. So I think it'd be the backup's in a good place. The legend is going to be a legend forever, and it'll be all right.
Let's wrap it up. Turn the lights out. Versatility. What are final thoughts that you got on versatility?
Final thoughts. Versatility. Like, as we talked about, versatile can mean a lot more than just what somebody can do on the field. And I obviously can mean more than just what a football player can bring, what a coach can bring. It's going to be their mental side of it, the energy they bring. Just like I said, their type, the whole roundness of them being a human being and what they're able to bring to the table.
My biggest thing is that when I think of versatility, whether it's talent, whether it's whatever it happens to be, football is a social sport. It's a sport that's played with people that are diverse and have different ways of looking at the world than you do. It's a sport that requires you to be a versatile people person.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the outgoing, super charming, charismatic, but you do absolutely have to talk to people, and as you're talking to them, I think they have to know that you're respected as a human.
Yep.
I think, and that's something that's really easy for all coaches to kind of fall into the trap of the X's and the O's, and I think, like, really when it comes down to it, be versatile and the types of people you talk to, how you talk to them.
Totally.
Understand that different people are going to have different perspectives on how to solve problems. And just like the Houston stuff, if you're in an organization, you have to have the versatility to find alignment so that the organization doesn't just crash and burn. And I think that's a really important thing to
absolutely
consider. So anyway, dude, that's episode 2.
Episode 2 in the books.
Hopefully, on iTunes and Spotify
and on YouTube.
Like, subscribe.
Hopefully we'll have some more news coming up about coaching hires and everything going off. We'll have a chance. I guess before we go, who's going to win this weekend?
Packers.
And? Chiefs or Bills?
Oh, man. I'm going to say Bills. I'm going to go Bills. I like Josh Allen a lot, man. I like Josh Allen a lot. Packers, Bills, Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
Bills lose another one. Sorry. I think that's the way it's gonna go. I could be totally wrong, but that's I like what's happening right now in Green Bay. Something special's cooking. We're gonna find out Sunday.
Yeah, I think coming off after the Packers went down to Tampa Bay and got their butts whooped earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I think being up at Lambeau in the middle of January it's hard to go win a football game up there. And the way, like you said, the way the Packers are playing, I think it's Packers. And Mahomes is healthy. I want the Bills, but I think Mahomes is healthy. Andy Reid, Chiefs are going to get it done. Packers, Chiefs, Super Bowl. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Super Bowl 1?
Super Bowl 1.
Yeah.
Rematch, yeah.
Rematch for the 10 people still alive.
Yeah.
Probably should edit that part out.
Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Love you guys.
Peace out. Appreciate y'all.
For the 10 people that aren't dead.
Oh, shoot.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is good.